The lights flicker on as a sudden thud echoes through the quiet room. Someone is about to have a very bad day, and the tension is already through the roof. The man in the blue shirt unleashes a devastating punch that catches Kim Gong-ya squarely in the jaw. This sudden burst of violence sets the tone for a very one-sided beating in this gloomy gambling den. The aggressor reaches down and grabs Kim Gong-ya by his collar with a look of pure rage. He is not finished with our boy yet, and the situation is getting even more intense. He starts screaming right into his face while holding him up with one hand. This dude is clearly unhinged and is looking for some serious answers about what just went down. The man asks him if he has any idea whose money he was messing with. It turns out our protagonist might have stolen from the wrong person this time around. He threatens to literally end him if he hears even one more word. Kim Gong-ya looks like he is barely hanging on as he is dangled like a rag doll. Suddenly, a calm voice interrupts the violence and asks for a moment of attention. Someone is trying to break up the fight before it gets even more out of hand. Kim Gong-ya looks up, and his eyes have this creepy, vacant look in them. Something about his expression starts to shift as he prepares to respond to his attacker. The guy in the blue shirt looks totally confused by the reaction he is getting. He was expecting fear, but our boy is giving him something much weirder instead. Kim Gong-ya suddenly flips the script and grabs the man back while sobbing about his lost money. He looks like a pathetic mess as he begs for his life and his cash. Kim Gong-ya continues to wail in complete despair while shaking his head in a state of utter shock. He seems to have lost all touch with reality as he fixates on the cash he just lost. He starts screaming back at the guy with a face full of tears and snot. Our protagonist is calling him a total jerk while losing his mind in front of everyone. Kim Gong-ya covers his face and starts wailing like a child who just lost his favorite toy. It is a complete 180 from the stoic guy we saw just a moment ago. The man holding him just stands there with a stunned expression on his face. He is clearly not used to seeing a grown man break down like this in a fight. Between gasping sobs, our boy begs for just one more game to win it all back. He looks like a degenerate gambler who has reached the absolute end of his rope. Two other guys watching this whole scene unfold from the shadows. They look surprisingly impressed by what they are seeing rather than being disgusted or worried. One of the observers wonders if Kim Gong-ya is so good that he is even fooling himself. This whole situation is starting to feel like there is a major twist coming. The entire atmosphere shifts when everyone realizes they have been witnessing a masterclass in professional acting. The director is left speechless by the raw intensity and believable desperation displayed by this unknown talent. The scene concludes as the set crew prepares for their next location, while Kim Gong-ya heads toward the exit. He leaves the artificial world of the movie behind and steps back into the real world for a break. A screen shows a happy couple posing for a photo on a sunny beach. They look like they are having the time of their lives while enjoying the ocean breeze. Kim Gong-ya stares at the image with dead eyes while standing in the middle of a busy street. He looks like he has not felt a real emotion in years. A little girl in the background starts crying at the top of her lungs. The noise is piercing, but our boy does not even flinch at the sound. The mother bows to thank him, and the little girl calls him the best mister ever. It seems he did something kind, but he still looks completely empty inside. A mean-looking bald guy with tattoos starts yelling at him and asks if he is blind. Some people just love to start trouble for no reason at all. Kim Gong-ya looks at the thug with a cold and piercing gaze. He has acted in scenes way scarier than this, and is not intimidated by some random dude. He calmly tells the guy to stay out of his sight from now on. The authority in his voice is enough to make the bully pause for a second. A piercing scream suddenly echoes from a distance, cutting through the dull city noise. Kim Gong-ya's eye twitches as his focus is drawn toward the source of the unexpected commotion. Kim Gong-ya reflects on his life and wonders when the last time his heart actually beat for something real. He feels like he is just going through the motions. Our protagonist arrives at the terminal to purchase a bus ticket so he can finally leave this city behind. He wants to return to the capital and find some sense of normalcy after such a draining day. Kim Gong-ya reflects on the empty state of his existence while taking a long drag from his freshly lit cigarette. He feels like time is slipping through his fingers without anything meaningful to show for it. Kim Gong-ya pulls out a cigarette and prepares to light it up. He looks like a character straight out of a classic movie while standing there all alone. He thinks to himself that taking up smoking is just a small act of rebellion. It is his way of trying to feel something in a world that feels dead. An elderly man standing nearby suddenly lets out a hacking cough that breaks the silence of the terminal. The sound is rough and strained, as if the man has been struggling with his health for quite some time. Hearing the loud coughing behind him causes Kim Gong-ya to turn around and check on the source of the noise. He spots a frail senior citizen who looks like he might need some assistance with his heavy luggage. The elderly man begins to explain his predicament, mentioning that his nephew's wedding is scheduled for the very next day. He looks weary as he shares the reason for his urgent trip. Kim Gong-ya listens intently as the stranger continues to ramble on about his personal family obligations. Even though he usually stays out of other people's business, something about the old man's tone catches his interest. The elderly gentleman looks absolutely devastated while explaining how important it is for him to reach his destination. His face is a roadmap of worry, and he seems to be reaching his breaking point in public. A single tear begins to well up in the corner of the man's eye as the weight of his situation becomes too much to bear. He is clearly desperate for help, but is too proud to ask for it directly. After observing the man's genuine distress, our protagonist realizes that he cannot simply ignore someone who is suffering right in front of him. He decides to put aside his own cynicism for just a few moments. Kim Gong-ya finally speaks up and asks the man if he is heading to Seoul. He seems to be considering helping the stranger out after all his talk of rebellion. He offers to buy the old man a ticket if he does not mind the company. It is a surprisingly kind gesture from someone who claims to have no heart. The old man is incredibly grateful for the help and promises to repay the favor once they both reach Seoul. Our boy looks a bit awkward about the whole situation, but accepts the sincere thanks from his new companion. The two of them finally settle into their seats for the long ride ahead to the capital. Gong-ya finds himself sitting next to this peculiar stranger while the bus pulls away from the station. Our boy is now sitting on the bus right next to the mysterious old man he just helped out. He is staring out the window and thinking about the unusual secret job he took for the weekend. He starts wondering if doing something illegal would actually make a difference in his boring life. He imagines himself locked behind bars and realizes that even considering such a path is already a major problem. He spots a shady business card for a loan shark offering quick cash and starts considering if he should get involved in something illegal. He worries that he might end up doing the worst things the law allows just to get by. The mysterious old man suddenly interrupts his inner struggle, warning him not to even dream about loan sharks or getting involved with dirty money just because he is bored. The stranger suddenly interrupts his thoughts and tells him to hold out his hand for a moment. Gong-ya is completely caught off guard by this weird request from a man he barely knows. The old man begins to examine the lines on the palm of his hand with a very serious expression. He seems to be searching for something deep within the boy's future as they ride along. Kim Gong-ya is completely baffled and asks the man what he is talking about. He wonders how this guy could possibly know what he was just thinking in his head. Kim Gong-ya is left speechless as the stranger continues to study his palm with intense focus. He begins to wonder if the man actually has the power to read his private thoughts. The man makes a clicking sound with his tongue while studying the lines on the boy's palm. He calls him an unusually pitiful young man, which is definitely not the kind of thing you want to hear from a stranger. Kim Gong-ya looks totally weirded out by this entire interaction on the bus. He is starting to regret buying this guy a ticket to Seoul in the first place. The old man leans in close with a very wide and unsettling grin on his face. He tells our boy to just smile, as if that would solve all of his deep problems at once. Gong-ya glares back and tells the stranger that he will only smile when there is actually something worth smiling about. He is clearly not in the mood for these weird mind games on a bus. The mysterious man immediately repeats the boy's internal thoughts back to him with terrifying accuracy. Gong-ya is frozen in shock because there is no way this guy should know exactly what he was just thinking. The old man starts laughing and tells him that something special comes out when you actually try to smile. He seems to be hinting at some kind of hidden power or secret technique that the boy possesses. Our protagonist tries to force a smile just to get the old guy to leave him alone, but it looks incredibly awkward. He cannot help but grimace because pretending to be happy is much harder than it looks. That old man is still giving off the most unsettling vibes with that massive and creepy grin of his. Gongya just sits there trying to figure out if this guy is actually serious or just playing games with his head. Our boy is looking completely done with this conversation as he tries to process the weird advice he just received. He is clearly wondering if he should just get up and walk away from this whole situation right now. The old man leans in even closer and asks if he should teach him how to make a face just like that. Gongya is sweating now because this whole interaction is moving from weird to straight-up terrifying. He tells Gongya to remember it, but our boy is confused and asks what he is supposed to remember exactly. He is trying to stay calm, but this guy's energy is just way too much to handle. Then the old man explains that after you smile, you have to suck it in with your right hand like this. He makes these strange motions while talking about spitting it out with the left. Gongya is staring at him with a face that says this guy has totally lost his mind in this bus cabin. He thinks to himself that this old man is not just abnormal, but he is fundamentally weird and confusing. The old man puts a finger to his lips and says he cannot say anything more than this right now. He promises that our boy will understand the meaning of these strange words soon enough in the future. A hand moves through the air in a swift motion as Gongya starts to feel a strange drowsiness taking over him. He cannot stay awake any longer as his vision begins to blur into total darkness. Our boy wakes up on the bus and realizes he must have dozed off for a while during the trip. He looks over and realizes the seat next to him is completely empty, which makes him start to panic immediately. He opens his eyes wide and tries to shake off the grogginess while looking for any sign of his previous companion. The sun is starting to set outside, and the light inside the bus is getting dim and orange. Our protagonist is startled to see a bus employee standing in the aisle right in front of him. He is confused to find that the mysterious old man he was talking to has completely vanished. The attendant stands there in the aisle and looks at the boy with a very confused and suspicious expression. The whole bus seems way too quiet now that our boy is actually fully awake and asking strange questions. The man looks genuinely shocked by the question and stares at Gongya like he has grown a second head right now. He clearly has no idea what our boy is talking about, which makes things even weirder. He freezes in absolute silence as the attendant claims that the seat next to him has been empty since the start of the journey. He was so sure that he was talking to someone just a few moments ago on this ride. He looks down at his suit jacket and realizes that something feels different about his surroundings as he tries to stand up. His heart is starting to thud against his chest as the mystery deepens further. He looks down at the seat and notices a small pile of cash sitting right where the old man was previously located. His heart starts pounding as he realizes that the strange encounter might have been real after all. The staff member tells him he must still be half asleep and points out some money sitting on his seat. He tells Gongya to just take the cash and get off the bus before it leaves. Our boy is standing in the middle of the busy terminal holding a stack of cash and looking completely lost. He is surrounded by people, but he feels like he is trapped in some kind of dream or a nightmare. Kim Gongya stares at the money in his hand and genuinely wonders if he was possessed or something during that bus ride. He is starting to freak out because he has no logical explanation for how he ended up with this cash. The memory of the old man demonstrating those bizarre hand movements on the bus comes back to him with terrifying clarity. He can still see the instructions to suck it in and spit it out. He recalls the unsettling grin and the cryptic things the man said about smiling, realizing that the strange encounter was definitely not a normal event or a simple hallucination. He looks at the green 10,001 bills again and realizes that this is real currency and not some play money. He has no idea why that man would leave him such a large amount of cash. The sudden sound of people screaming and cheering draws his attention toward the massive digital screens hanging in the main terminal area. A major awards ceremony is being broadcasted, and the atmosphere is electric as everyone stares at the screen waiting for the winner to be revealed. Gongya turns his head sharply as the announcer mentions a name that seems to carry a huge amount of weight. He is curious to see who could cause such a massive reaction from a random crowd. The screen shows a group of people on a stage, and it looks like a major film or acting award ceremony. The lights are bright, and the whole scene is dripping with prestige and high-class energy. The winner is announced as Mr. Du Quangxian, and the crowd goes absolutely wild with cheers and applause for him. He is a famous actor who seems to be loved by everyone in the entire country. People in the crowd are smiling and talking about how they knew he would be the one to win this year. The hype is real, and Gongya is just standing there taking in all of this frantic energy. Two guys next to him are laughing and saying they figured it would be him because he is just that good. It seems like this actor is a legend who has not changed at all over the years. A girl nearby is even crying because she is so moved by the win and says that he is amazing. Gongya is starting to realize that this actor is more than just a celebrity to these people. He looks up at the screen with a serious expression, while listening to the actor begin his acceptance speech to see what makes him so special. Quangxian explains that actors are people who can immerse themselves in their emotions as naturally as breathing, while he speaks humbly into the microphone. A montage of his various roles as he explains that navigating through all sorts of extraordinary situations is his true profession. Our boy stares intently with his brown eyes as he focuses on every word that the famous actor is saying. He is starting to feel a strange connection to the message being delivered on the big screen. Seeing that bright and glowing expression makes him think that a person like that must lead an incredibly fun and fulfilling life every day. Quangxian holds his trophy tightly with both hands as he continues to thank everyone who supported him on his journey. He looks like the happiest man in the world at this very moment in time. Gongya watches him and starts to wonder if that smile is actually real or just another performance from a master actor. He wonders if it is really something to smile that much about in real life. The actor gives one more massive and joyous grin to the cameras as the crowd continues to roar with approval. Gongya finds himself focusing on the shape of that smile and the energy it is giving off. He suddenly remembers what the old man said about having to try to smile in order to actually feel it. He starts to wonder if that weird old guy was actually trying to teach him a secret. He recalls the weird advice about forcing a smile until it becomes real and realizes that the strange old man was teaching him a secret. Gongya forces a wide, awkward smile as he attempts to mimic the joyful expression he sees on the television screen. While watching the screen, Gongya notices a strange blue spark suddenly flicker to life around the actor's face. The blue light rapidly transforms into a swirling spectral flame that wraps around the actor's body on the broadcast. Gongya's eyes widen in amazement as he sees the reflection of the mysterious blue fire that no one else in the terminal seems to notice. A strange blue flame suddenly erupts and starts swirling around the man on the screen, but Gongya seems to be the only one noticing it. The blue flame grows larger and more intense as it wraps around the actor while he stands on the stage. Gongya is mesmerized and wonders if this is actually a flame or something much more spiritual. He can see a vision of the actor smiling within the fire, and it feels incredibly personal and intense. He realizes that he is not just seeing light, but a physical manifestation of the raw emotion the actor is feeling at this very moment. He prepares his hands to do exactly what the old man told him by sucking energy in with the right and spitting it out with the left. He focuses his mind and thinks about the weird old man's words one more time to make sure he gets it right. His heart is pounding in his chest as the blue energy starts to react to him. The blue flames of emotion wrap around him and force him to experience the actor's history through an overwhelming and sudden sensory overload that changes everything. He begins pulling the feelings and memories right out of the air, while the blue flames swirl around him and make the connection even stronger. Visions of the actor's past life reveal the exhaustion of being someone else every day, along with the crushing loneliness and weight of his work. He stares into space with wide eyes as the final pieces of the actor's emotions settle into his mind, and he processes the incredible depth. Tears start to well up in his eyes as he begins to feel the true weight of the actor's hidden sadness. He realized that the joyful smile on the screen was hiding a lot of pain and hard work. The actor on the screen finishes his speech and humbles himself with a deep bend to the live audience. The weight of the borrowed emotions is too much for Gong Ya to bear, and he falls to his knees in the middle of the station terminal. Nearby commuters are startled by the young man's sudden breakdown and watch him with a mix of worry and confusion. He loses control of his emotions and starts wailing while covering his face because he is crying so hard that he can barely even breathe anymore. Kim Gong-ya is flat on the ground, and people are wondering if he is some obsessed fan. He is putting on a massive show for everyone around him, and the crowd is starting to whisper about his behavior. A girl looks back with a worried expression because our boy is making a total scene in the middle of a crowd. People are weirded out and wonder what is going on with this guy. A staff member kneels down to help him out, but Kim Gong-ya is just lost in his own world of drama and despair. He looks like he is having a complete breakdown right there on the floor. He is laughing through the tears and looking completely unhinged while everyone stares in silence. This dude is a total professional when it comes to being weird and making everyone else feel awkward. He fully commits to the act and lets the tears flow freely to make sure the entire crowd believes his tragic performance. Suddenly he stands up and screams the name Chun-sik at the top of his lungs. He has this massive smile that feels totally out of place after that crying session he just put on for everyone. He tells Chun-sik that he almost forgot what his face looked like while wearing that huge grin. Our boy is really laying it on thick right now to make the situation even more ridiculous. The groom is left speechless and can only stare in horror as Kim Gong-ya crashes the event and complains about not being invited. He puts a hand on his shoulder and congratulates him with a bright smile. He says he cannot believe his buddy is actually getting married today, and the groom is just sweating from the pressure. Chun-sik is wondering what is wrong with this guy and if he is some kind of part-timer. He is convinced that Kim Gong-ya must have been hired to cause trouble during his special day. Chun-sik realizes that his uncle was right about something terrible happening, and he starts to lose his mind over how quickly things are falling apart. He tries to say something, but a lady in traditional clothing steps up and asks if he is a friend. Chun-sik is looking for any way to escape this nightmare before it gets even worse. He continues the charade by bowing deeply and shouting that they have been the closest of friends ever since their freshman year of college. The mother welcomes him warmly and thanks him for showing up for her son on such a big day. This is getting more complicated by the second for our poor groom who just wants to leave. Chun-sik is thinking that this guy is a total crazy bastard for making things up like this. He looks like he is about to have a heart attack from all the stress building up. Kim Gong-ya gets real close and asks if he is nervous about the ceremony. He is playing the part of the supportive best friend way too well for someone who just showed up unannounced. He looks off to the side and mentions the uncle who is waiting nearby. Chun-sik realizes the situation is about to get even worse than he thought when he sees who is there. He tells him that the uncle will be able to tell the truth at a single glance. This is a massive threat delivered with a happy smile that makes it even scarier for him. The groom is terrified because this uncle is an expert at reading people and will definitely know if they are lying about their friendship. Kim Gong-ya maintains a cheerful facade while pressuring the poor guy to say something before the suspicious family members start asking even more questions. The scary uncle has been watching the exchange from the background, and he looks ready to snap as he senses something is fishy. Chun-sik is staring at the uncle with wide eyes and a face full of cold sweat. He is realizing that there is no way out of this trap our boy has set for him. The poor guy is just completely lost and has no idea what to do next to save himself. His brain has officially short-circuited from all the stress and the unexpected appearance of his friend. He looks down while panicking about the fact that his uncle is an expert. This wedding is turning into a total nightmare for him, and he just wants it to be over already. Kim Gong-ya keeps that bright and happy expression while everyone around him is falling apart. He is truly the master of controlling the room and making people dance to his tune. Chun-sik realizes he is in big trouble if he does not find a way to handle this situation immediately. He looks like he is about to cry from the sheer frustration of it all. He is staring into space while the reality of his situation sinks in and he feels totally helpless. Our boy really knows how to push people's buttons until they break under the pressure. 3 days have passed, and we find him training in front of a mirror while trying to manifest a ball of fire in his palm. The orange flames dance around his hand as he focuses all his energy into the spell. He is training his skills to prepare for whatever challenge is coming next in his journey as a hunter. He focuses his gaze on the flickering energy and tries to find the right balance between his emotions and the mana flowing through his body. He lets out a massive yell and pushes his magical capacity to the absolute limit while trying to stabilize the wild energy in the room. Kim Gong-ya points aggressively at the mirror and starts yelling at his own reflection like a man possessed. He is trying to perfect his delivery and his presence for whatever mission is coming next. The intensity in that small bathroom is reaching a breaking point as he pushes himself to the limit. Suddenly, the orange fire transforms into a cold blue aura that flows through the air. This change in color means he is tapping into a different kind of power and mastering its flow perfectly. He holds up 2 soap bottles and starts acting like he is taking a drink order for a customer. It is a weird way to train, but he is combining his acting skills with his magic control. He is practicing a specific persona while keeping his mana steady, which is actually a genius move. The orange flames suddenly turn into a dark purple aura as he successfully mimics the specific feeling of the skill he is trying to master. He stays in character and maintains his focus while the purple mana swirls around him like a powerful storm inside the small bathroom. He yells one more time as he pushes the energy to its maximum limit with everything he has got. You can see the spit flying as he gives it his all to perfect the performance. Finally, the energy fades away, and he stands there with a confident smirk on his face. Kim Gong-ya looks ready for whatever challenge is thrown his way next, and he is not backing down. Kim Gong-ya stares at his reflection after grinding for 3 straight days. He is trying to master a skill, but something feels totally different compared to that one time he used it before. Our boy finally manages to manifest a will-o'-the-wisp made of pure energy. He realizes he can actually save this thing and use it for later, whenever he needs a boost. Turns out these wisps are basically human emotions caught in a bottle. By pulling one over his face like a mask, he can perfectly mimic anyone else's feelings and put on a show. Look at him go looking all dapper in a suit while walking through the city. He looks like a high-flying executive instead of a hunter just trying to make a living. He thinks to himself that living life like this is actually kind of fun. No more struggling in the dirt because now he just gets to enjoy the vibes and nice clothes. He remembers that mysterious old man he sat next to on the bus recently. He wonders if that dude was actually some legendary guru or just a weirdo with a lot of stories. These 2 guys are definitely up to no good with those devious smirks. They are whispering secrets to each other like they own the place and everyone in it. Kim Gong-ya looks up at the sky with a face full of confidence and determination. He is ready to put his new skills to the ultimate test in the real world. The crowd is looking absolutely stunned and heartbroken by whatever they just witnessed. Having an audience really does change the stakes of a performance, and he knows he has to deliver. Our boy narrows his eyes as he focuses his internal energy for the next move. He is calculating every single detail before he steps into the spotlight for his big moment. He arrives at a massive luxury hotel lobby filled with people milling around. This place is fancy as hell and provides the perfect backdrop for his secret mission today. His phone buzzes with a message from the team leader of Joyful Companions. The boss is checking in to make sure everyone arrived safely for the gig and knows the rules. Everyone else in the group chat is sounding off with their confirmation immediately. Kim Young-hoon and Lee Jin-hyung are already on site and ready to go for the job. Kim Gong-ya scans the room with a sharp gaze looking for his targets among the crowd. He needs to play this perfectly if he wants to get paid at the end. He notices a group of guys standing around looking extremely out of place. They have this weird, awkward distance between them that screams suspicious to anyone paying enough attention. He finally spots his target and smiles because he knows he is in the right place. Time to get to work and earn that paycheck by doing what he does best. This guy in the background looks like he is literally dying of boredom while waiting. Kim Gong-ya recognizes that look instantly as the trademark face of a tired part-timer. Our protagonist checks his phone one last time to make sure he has all the instructions. He does not want to mess up a simple job after all his hard training. The team leader warns them to collect the money envelopes, but begs them not to go overboard. Apparently, some people take the acting way too seriously and cause problems for everyone. He stares at that warning, and you can see the wheels turning in his head. Does he look like the type of guy to do things halfway when there is money involved? He adjusts his tie while thinking about the poor bride and groom. He totally gets why they would want everything to look perfect for the photos and the social media posts. The groom is greeting guests, but he is secretly terrified inside his own heart. He is praying that nobody does anything stupid to ruin his big and very expensive wedding day. Kim Gong-ya is lurking behind a pillar with a literal flame in his hand. He is planning to act like the most realistic best friend ever using his new emotion power. Suddenly, the energy around him explodes into a massive pillar of bright orange fire. He is tapping into that emotion mask, and the intensity of his acting is off the charts. He covers his face with the flame to activate the skill for real this time. This is not just acting anymore, because it is a full-on transformation into another person. He looks like a total final boss with that fiery aura and glowing eyes, while vowing to give the performance of a lifetime. He has waited so long for this high-stakes part-time gig, and he is going to make sure his acting is incredibly realistic for the happy couple. The scene moves to the men's room, where someone is losing their mind and shouting. Things are getting heated in the stalls for some reason between the guests and family. This dude in the turtleneck is absolutely losing it when he finds out the truth. He cannot believe his nephew actually hired fake wedding guest part-timers to fill up the room. The groom is sweating bullets as he desperately begs his relative to keep the secret and play along for the sake of the ceremony. He knows that if the truth about the fake guests comes out now, his entire wedding will be a total disaster. The uncle is a professional drama writer, and he is offended that they hired bad actors. He thinks they should have just asked him for help to find better people. He grabs the groom and starts yelling at him for being so dishonest with the family. This family drama is getting way more intense than the actual wedding going on outside. The groom is begging his uncle to keep it down before the whole venue hears them. Talk about a total nightmare situation for a guy on his big wedding day. The uncle boasts that he could have brought in way more people with just one phone call. He thinks these professional part-timers are a complete joke compared to real talent. They stand there in the awkward silence of the restroom while the groom explains himself. Only the wife and the uncle actually know the truth about the fake guests. The uncle scratches his head, feeling a bit guilty for causing such a big scene. He realizes he might be making himself look bad at his nephew's important wedding event. He finally decides to leave the room, but he warns the kid that he made a huge mistake. He has zero faith in these hired actors to act like humans. He remembers all the times those fake guest part-timers messed things up in the past. A dude once literally knocked over the wedding cake and ruined the whole party. In his mind, these guys should just sit there quietly and eat the buffet food. Anything more than that is just asking for a total disaster to happen during the ceremony. The uncle walks back out to the main hall with a grim expression on his face. He tells the groom he will personally handle anyone who tries to ruin things. Chun-sik looks completely rattled as he stares into the distance with cold sweat running down his face. Something is definitely wrong here. This tough-looking dude with the spiky hair is watching everything unfold with a serious expression. He looks like he knows something we don't. Chun-sik feels his brain grinding to a halt as he tries to make sense of the absolute madness that is currently unfolding right before his eyes. An older woman in traditional clothing laughs heartily as if she is having the time of her life. Little does she know things are messy. Our boy Kim Gong-ya flashes a bright smile while Chun-sik desperately sifts through his memories to identify this mystery guest. Talk about awkward. Chun-sik feels his entire life flashing before his eyes as he stares up at the sharp-looking stranger and desperately wonders where this man even came from. Gong-ya ignores the surrounding drama and dives into the high-quality buffet, because he knows these incredible ribs are way more important than the social chaos he started. He takes a massive bite of the meat and decides that coming to this event was definitely the right choice. ribs over everything everyone. Our protagonist stands there chewing happily while wondering what his next move should be. He is playing this role way too well. Gongya keeps his cool by glancing back over his shoulder to check the room, while he continues to chew through his stolen meal like a total professional. A couple in traditional hanboks approaches Kim Gong-ya and calls him Jeonju while apologizing for not recognizing him earlier. The plot thickens. The man claims they used to crush 4 bottles of soju every single day back in the day. Our boy is just rolling with it. The guy flashes a huge fake smile and thanks him for coming to the wedding. This whole situation is getting weirder by the minute. Kim Gong-ya puts on his best sad face and tells them he is sorry. He is a master of emotional manipulation when he needs to be. Our protagonist gives a deep and respectful bow while offering his congratulations on their wedding. He is playing the part of the perfect guest. The groom stands there looking like his soul just left his body. He is completely stunned by what he just witnessed. The bride has her mouth wide open in total shock. She cannot believe what is happening right in front of her face. Gong-ya makes a hasty exit to avoid the crushing weight of his own guilt, while leaving the stunned bride behind to deal with the chaos he just finished creating. He bumps into the tough guy from earlier and lets out a casual whoops. It looks like an accident, but probably isn't. Kim Gong-ya looks back with a nervous sweat on his face. He is trying to see if anyone is onto his little game. A firm hand suddenly grabs our boy by the shoulder and stops him in his tracks. Looks like he is not leaving just yet. The tough guy leans in with a terrifyingly wide grin and asks him if that was really all he had planned. He's caught. Chun-sik is still standing there looking like a ghost while a hand reaches out toward him. The poor guy is totally drained. Kim Gong-ya turns back and waves with a big cheerful smile as he tells them he will see them later. Pure chaos energy. The groom is still sweating and looks like he is about to pass out from the stress. This wedding is a total nightmare. A hand clenches tightly as mysterious white smoke or energy begins to emanate from the skin. Something supernatural is at play here. Chun-sik finally reaches out to shake hands while looking confused. He managed to say thanks for coming, but he is still lost. Our boy waves goodbye as he disappears into the crowd of guests. He left the wedding party in a state of total confusion. Gong-ya stares at the mysterious blue mist swirling around his fingers and realizes that his role in this wedding has activated a strange power he never expected to find. The bride gathers her composure and prepares to finish the ceremony with as much grace as possible, despite the fact that everything about this day has been a complete lie. The groom looks back with a gentle smile. It seems the ceremony is finally proceeding as planned after all that madness. The couple holds hands at the altar while the officiant speaks. They look like a perfectly normal and happy couple from this angle. 2 women in the audience clap and smile as they watch the ceremony. They seem to be enjoying the beautiful moment. The sound of clapping fills the hall as the guests celebrate. Everything looks exactly like a high-class wedding should look. Kim Gong-ya is back in the audience clapping even harder than anyone else. He has the biggest, most mischievous grin on his face. The bride whispers to the groom and asks if he is glad that he finally listened to her advice. She's the mastermind. She tells him to just look at how packed his side of the guest seating is. Every single chair is filled with people. The groom looks at his beautiful bride and agrees that the whole setup looks incredibly convincing. No one could ever tell the truth. The bride narrows her eyes and focuses all her attention on the strange guest, as she begins to suspect that he might actually know the truth about her secret plans. Gong-ya carries himself with total confidence as he waits for his next move, while reflecting on how his loud clapping earlier really helped sell the whole act to the crowd. The groom Chun-sik looks like he is about to have a heart attack right on the altar. He sees Kim Gong-ya, and a single drop of sweat rolls down his face from pure nerves. Chun-sik is panicking because he specifically told everyone that none of his actual friends were coming today. Now he sees this handsome stranger sitting right in the front row like he belongs there. His mind is racing as he realizes his mom and his uncle are totally falling for the act. Now even the bride is starting to look over at this mystery guest with curious eyes. The groom is absolutely losing it internally because everyone is actually falling for this elaborate charade. He cannot believe how convincing this whole setup has become for his unsuspecting family members. Chun-sik desperately tries to stay calm and tells himself that only a few minutes remain in the ceremony. He figures he can survive if he just makes it through the wedding song and the closing remarks. The poor guy grits his teeth while the beautiful bride looks at him with total confusion. She can clearly see her new husband is acting like a complete nervous wreck for absolutely no reason. The MC is standing there with a huge professional smile and holding her microphone tight. She is ready to move the ceremony along to the next big part of the wedding program. She looks over at the happy couple and prepares to deliver her next line to the audience. Everything seems to be going according to the plan for this fake wedding celebration so far. Chun-sik forces the most awkward fake smile you have ever seen in your life. The MC mentions how the groom is grinning from ear to ear after hearing all those heartwarming stories earlier. The MC gets this mischievous little sparkle in her eye like she is about to drop a massive bombshell. She is really leaning into her role as the master of ceremonies for this event. She announces that the groom's side cannot just lose out on the storytelling fun today. The couple both freeze up with looks of pure horror as they realize what is about to happen next. Chun-sik is sweating buckets now and thinks this whole situation is absolute nonsense. He is terrified that someone is going to say something that ruins the entire lie he has built up. The MC asks the crowd if anyone would like to step up and share a personal memory of the groom. She looks directly at the guest seating area with a bright, expectant smile. Chun-sik starts panicking when he realizes the bride is also on the verge of a breakdown because the MC is out of control. He desperately wonders how they are going to survive this spotlight. Chun-sik knows this is bad news because if anyone talks, they might find out all his friends are just hired actors. He is closing his eyes and praying that nobody actually stands up to speak. Suddenly, a shiny black dress shoe takes a firm step forward onto the carpet. Someone is actually moving toward the front of the room to take the MC up on her offer. Kim Gong-ya stands up tall and asks the room if he may say a few words for his old friend. The groom and bride are completely stunned as they watch him walk toward the microphone. The MC is thrilled and invites him to come up to the front to introduce himself to the guests. Chun-sik looks like his soul is leaving his body as our boy approaches the mic. Our protagonist flashes a dazzling smile and tells everyone that he is an old friend from a college club. He looks so sincere that nobody in the room would ever doubt his story. He tells a hilariously specific story about a travel club where they never actually traveled anywhere. Instead, they just stayed cooped up in a room drinking together every single day of the week. Kim Gong-ya claims that even though they did not say it out loud, everyone in the club really liked the groom. He is painting a picture of a tight-knit group of brothers from the past. He gestures toward the altar and tells the guests to just look at how handsome the groom is. The people in the back start laughing and nodding along with his charismatic storytelling style. Then he looks right at Chun-sik and adds that he liked him too, which adds a perfect touch of emotion. The groom is staring back with wide eyes as the fake memory starts feeling real. Chun-sik suddenly gets hit with a wave of memories from his actual days in the travel club. He remembers the piles of shoes at the door and the endless empty beer cans scattered everywhere. The memory of clinking glasses and the sound of laughter fills his head as he recalls the romance of his youth. It was a time of pure friendship and zero responsibilities for the group. Empty soju bottles roll across the floor in his mind as he remembers the bravado of those drinking sessions. Even though it was messy, it was a time that felt alive and full of energy. He remembers the faces of his friends as they posed for photos together with bright smiles. The nostalgia is hitting him like a freight train thanks to Kim Gong-ja's incredible acting performance. The groom always thought he had no real friends in his 20s and felt lonely about his past. But listening to this flawless storytelling makes him believe his youth was actually full of precious memories. Chun-sik looks off to the side with a softened expression as he processes these newfound feelings. He is actually starting to believe the lie because it fills a void in his heart. In this moment of emotional weakness, he truly realizes that he did have a friend after all. Kim Gong-ya keeps smiling at him like a brother while the groom starts to tear up. The groom is trembling as he gasps out the name Cheng Jiayu like he has finally recognized a long-lost brother. He is completely sold on the identity our boy has assumed for this role. Kim Gong-ya gives him a huge celebratory shout and offers his sincerest congratulations on the wedding. He looks genuinely happy for his supposed friend, while the crowd goes wild with applause. Chun-sik is literally gasping for air as his emotions overflow from all the fake nostalgia. He is so moved by the speech that he can barely contain his joy and relief. He screams out the name Chung Jae-woo with tears streaming down his face as he rushes forward. He is fully convinced that our boy is the best friend he never realized he had back then. The two men share a massive emotional hug right in front of the altar while everyone claps loudly. Even the bride looks touched by this display of bromance between two supposedly old college buddies. Cut to the wedding buffet, where the guests are busy piling their plates high with delicious food. The atmosphere is light and celebratory after such a moving ceremony and a great speech. Kim Gong-ya is casually stuffing his face with meat and enjoying the free meal at the reception. He thinks to himself that he has no clue who this Jeonju guy actually is and finds it hilarious. Kwak Min-ho stands tall in the middle of a busy street looking for his next big star. He is a famous drama writer with a legendary eye for spotting talent that puts casting directors to shame. Our protagonist Tae-ju flashes a smile that could melt ice and charm anyone in the room. Kwak Min-ho is watching him closely and thinking that this kid is a total natural at acting. This guy is not just smiling for the sake of it, though. He is completely immersed in the role as if he is putting on a physical mask to hide his true self from the world. Kwak Min-ho watches the scene unfold with a smirk on his face. He is realizing that he just witnessed something truly ridiculous and top-tier that he never would have noticed without seeing it himself. Look at that energy and the way he handles those sudden ad-libs. Tae-ju is responding perfectly to the host, and the writer knows there is no way he could overlook skills this high level. Kwak Min-ho starts overthinking things and wonders if this guy is just a very talented rookie. Or maybe he is an amateur who is not even officially recognized as an actor yet. He decides to make his move and approaches our boy directly. He is not letting this one go and demands to know exactly which talent agency is lucky enough to have him signed. Tae-ju looks completely lost and starts sweating a little bit under the pressure. Kwak Min-ho thinks he is just playing a game with him and refuses to let the conversation end there. Our boy is genuinely confused and asks who this random guy even is. The man just claims to be some guy named Chun-sik's uncle, like that is supposed to explain everything to him. Tae-ju bows politely because he is a good kid, but the writer tells him to drop the act. He says he already knows everything he needs to know about his incredible acting ability. Kwak Min-ho keeps pushing and asks if he is a film student. He is convinced this kid must have studied at some elite academy he does not know about yet. Tae-ju finally drops a bombshell and says he is just a high school grad without a job. He looks totally exhausted by the conversation and just wants to be left alone. The writer thinks our boy is still playing dumb to draw a line between them. Honestly, this guy is getting more interesting by the second for a veteran in the industry like Kwak. The writer is mesmerized by the sheer potential he sees in this young man's face and knows it can transform into any character imaginable. He decides right then and there that he is definitely taking this kid with him. He reveals that he is actually the writer for the massive hit drama called Unbelievable Hell. Tae-ju pulls out his phone to check if this guy is actually legit or just crazy. He tells the man to just humor him while he looks up the name on the internet. He looks up the show, and there it is on the screen for everyone to see. The official website lists Kwak Min-ho as the lead writer for every single episode of the series. The writer stands there with a smug look on his face. He expects the kid to be completely blown away and starstruck now that his secret identity is finally out in the open. Our protagonist stares at the phone screen with an intense look in his eyes. He is trying to remember where he heard that name before and why it feels so familiar to him. Kwak Min-ho is genuinely surprised to see that the young man isn't even flinching or acting starstruck after hearing such a famous name. Tae-ju suddenly feels a massive jolt of shock coursing through his body as a painful realization hits him like a ton of bricks. His eyes go wide and he starts sweating bullets while clutching his stomach. He realizes his gut is turning into a literal war zone at the worst possible time imaginable. His mind flashes back to all that delicious but incredibly greasy food he just inhaled. Between the rich ramen and that heavy steak, His poor stomach is simply giving up after being empty for so long. He realized too late that jumping straight into a feast after starving was a recipe for a total disaster. The writer thinks he is still acting and tells him to relax his face, while Tiju is desperately trying not to explode right then and there. This is peak comedy right here, everyone. The writer is just laughing while our poor protagonist is fighting a losing battle for his life against his own rebellious bowels. Tiju makes a desperate grab for his phone with his shaking hands. He knows he has to get out of there immediately before things get very messy and embarrassing for everyone. He is shaking like a leaf and sweating through his suit while holding his device. He tells the writer that he will reply later and tries his best to hold it together. Without wasting another single second, our hero sprints away from the scene, as fast as his legs can possibly carry his dying body. Guak Minho watches him go with a very skeptical and confused look on his face. He is probably wondering why his future superstar is running away like he saw a ghost. Guak Minho immediately calls his contact to brag about the incredible talent he just discovered, while the poor boy is still running for his life. He finally slows down enough to look at a new notification on his phone screen. He probably thinks things are finally looking up for his career after meeting that famous writer. But the universe is cruel, and his boss just fired him over a cold text message. He is officially jobless and at rock bottom again because of a client complaint. Tiju stares blankly at the ceiling of his dark room as he slowly begins to process the fact that he is now completely unemployed. He remembers the embarrassing scene he caused at the wedding and realizes his urgent bathroom break might have actually looked like a total mental breakdown. The young man starts to type out a desperate apology to his boss, but his pride stops him from actually hitting the send button. He tries to tell himself it's for the best, but then he realizes that line of thinking is totally wrong. He picks up the remote feeling like he needs a heavy distraction from his failing career. A drama plays on the screen showing a man and a woman in the middle of a tense and emotional conversation. This is exactly the kind of deep emotional stuff he usually tries to avoid in his daily life. He remains sitting in the complete darkness of his small apartment, while his eyes are glued to the flickering light of the television screen. He feels that hiding away from everyone is the only way to ensure he never causes trouble for another living soul ever again. Watching the legendary actor Du Guangxian on the screen makes our protagonist realize just how much he actually lacks compared to a real professional. After staring at his own reflection for hours, it finally clicks for him that solo performances in the bedroom just aren't cutting it anymore. He realizes he's actually bored of acting alone and needs a real challenge to wake up his sleeping passion for the craft. He knows he needs to step out of his comfort zone and work with other people to really make something of himself. There has to be a way to use his talent to act alongside others without causing any harm to those around him. On the screen, the two lead characters share a deep and meaningful hug as the story reaches its final emotional climax. Gongya is watching this intense scene and feels something powerful stir inside his chest that he hasn't felt in a long time. Everything around him fades away as he focuses entirely on that single moment of connection on the screen. The reflection in his eye shows just how much this moment is impacting his view of the world. A wild idea starts forming in his head as he wonders if he could actually make it as an actor in the real world. It is a crazy long shot, but he has nothing left to lose anymore. He remembers someone from his past, or maybe a moment of pure passion that he buried deep inside long ago. This blurry memory is the final push he needs to finally make a life-changing choice. Gongya bolts upright on his bed with a look of pure determination on his face. He is done moping around in the dark and is ready to take a massive gamble on his future career. His phone sits there on the bedspread, looking like the only gateway to a new and better life. He knows exactly who he needs to call to get his foot in the door and start over. On the other side of the city, a man is losing his mind while arguing with someone on the phone. He sounds like he has reached the absolute limit of his patience with the people around him. This director is desperately trying to convince someone on the line that his new find is a total gem of a performer. He sounds like he has reached the absolute limit of his patience and is yelling that this guy is better than anyone they discussed before. He is practically begging the person on the other end to just give this new kid a chance. He is so confident in his eye for talent that he is willing to stake his entire career on it. He tells them to just put the name on the audition list, and he will handle the rest of the details. This guy is clearly a high-energy type who does not take no for an answer today. He is so hyped up that he says if he is wrong about this kid, he will basically quit the industry. Talk about putting everything on the line for a complete stranger he has never even met. The director is still rambling on the phone about how this mysterious kid is going to change everything for their current project. He is totally convinced he just found a superstar in the making. Elsewhere, a man with glasses stares at his own reflection in the mirror while holding up his phone. He looks like a weary professional who has spent a long time in the industry and is currently questioning his own worth. The phrase "clueless has been" reflects in his mind as he looks at himself. A painful reminder of the harsh labels people in show business use to discard those they no longer find useful. The conversation suddenly cuts to the phone interface as the call is disconnected. It's clear that the person on the other end didn't want to hear another word and decided to end the discussion right then and there. The director is left fuming and holding his phone away from his ear in total disbelief. He is outraged that the person he was talking to had the audacity to just hang up on him in the middle of a sentence. Suddenly, his phone starts buzzing with a call from an unknown number. He looks at the screen with a mix of curiosity and lingering annoyance while wondering who is calling him at this hour. He picks up and immediately starts shouting, wondering if the person on the other end hung up by mistake. He is acting all hurt because he thinks he is being ignored by everyone today. But then he stops and listens as the voice on the other end says something that catches him completely off guard. The anger on his face starts to melt away as he listens intently. He takes a deep breath and prepares to drop a bombshell that will change the entire trajectory of his future. With a firm set to his jaw, he gets ready to make a declaration that no one in their right mind would ever expect from him. Kim Gong-ya finally makes his move and declares with absolute confidence that he wants to become an actor. He is ready to throw away his old life and dive headfirst into the world of professional performance, regardless of the risks involved. On the other end of the line, the director picks up with a smug grin because he knew all along that Gong-ya would eventually come calling. He acts like he is holding all the cards while teasing the young man for taking so long to make up his mind. The high-stakes production for the new drama finally begins as the professional camera crew gets into position to film the opening scenes. Everyone knows that even a single mistake could ruin the entire project before it even starts. A mysterious man watches from the sidelines and lets out a devious smirk as he realizes his secret plans are moving forward perfectly. He feels completely in control of the situation and knows exactly how to manipulate everyone involved. Kim Gong-ya listens with a skeptical expression while someone tries to sell him on the supposed talent of a new rising star named Kim H-wan. He has heard these kinds of empty promises 1,000 times before and does not believe a single word of it. Our protagonist stares down at the script in his hands and ignores the noise around him while he focuses on the actual work. He is more interested in the quality of the story than the corporate politics happening behind his back. The industry is currently buzzing with rumors about a powerful CEO named Do Yoon-seop, who is aggressively pushing his latest discovery into major roles. It is a clear case of corporate influence trying to force a new face onto the public for pure profit. The CEO of YKB stands confidently behind his prize pony, who looks exactly like the kind of manufactured idol actor designed to sell tickets. They are both banking on looks and money to carry them through the production regardless of actual talent. One of the characters is a complete lunatic who has been driven to the edge of madness by a crippling addiction to high-stakes gambling. He even went as far as changing his entire identity just to escape the consequences of his actions. This specific role in the crime drama Gray City requires someone who can truly capture the essence of a man who has lost everything to his vices. The production team is looking for a performance that will leave the audience feeling genuinely uncomfortable. Do Yoon-seop is determined to cement Kim H-wan as a household name because he knows exactly how to turn a pretty face into a massive profit. While the sharks focus on the money, our hero realizes this might be his final chance to make an impact. Kim Gong-ya locks in with an intense gaze because he is tired of watching the industry prioritize profits over the actual craft of acting. He has a very different vision for this project, and he is not going to let a corporate stooge ruin it. He takes a deep breath and straightens his clothes while preparing himself for a confrontation that has been brewing for a long time. The air in the room feels thick with tension as he gets ready to finally speak his mind. Suddenly, a loud-mouthed director starts barking at him and accusing him of being disrespectful on the set. It is typical for someone with very little talent to compensate for their failures by shouting at the people who actually know what they are doing. Our protagonist finally reaches his breaking point and whispers a curse under his breath as his patience for this nonsense completely snaps. He decides right then and there that he is done being polite to people who do not respect the art. He turns his back on the shouting man and starts to walk away because he has better things to do than argue with an amateur. Before he leaves, he asks the man when he is finally going to wake up and see the truth. The director just stands there looking completely speechless and stunned by the level of disrespect he just received in front of his crew. His brain is basically short-circuiting because no one ever has the guts to talk back to him like that. He finally manages to find his voice and asks what the hell our boy just said with a look of pure disbelief on his face. He is clearly used to everyone bowing down and kissing his feet instead of calling him out on his failures. Kim Gong-ya looks him dead in the eye and calls him a clueless has-been who has completely lost his touch with the modern world. It is a brutal verbal slap that lands right where it hurts the most for someone with a massive ego. The man stops in his tracks and looks down at the ground while the weight of those words starts to sink into his skin. He is being forced to face the reality that his best days are far behind him, and everyone knows it. Then our boy turns up the heat and suggests that the guy might be taking something just to cope with his failing career. He is digging the knife in even deeper by attacking the director's personal life in front of the entire production crew. That was the final straw, and the man lunges forward to deliver a massive punch right into the middle of the protagonist's face. The impact is so hard that his glasses fly off as he gets sent reeling back from the force. The attacker stands over him and asks if he has completely lost his mind for saying those insulting things out loud. He is breathing hard and looking like he is ready to go for another round if anyone dares to speak up again. The entire crew is just standing around in the background watching this total disaster unfold while they hold onto their equipment in shock. It is a nightmare scenario for the production, and news of this violence is going to spread fast. The guy tries to justify his anger by saying that they should at least let his preferred actor have a fair audition before making any decisions. He thinks he is being reasonable, but everyone can see he is just trying to maintain control. Our protagonist wipes the blood from his face with a look that says he is far from finished with this confrontation. A punch like that would break a normal person, but it only makes him more determined to win this argument. Raw fury in his eyes as he stares back at the man who just assaulted him in front of everyone. He is not scared at all, and he is already planning his next move to dismantle the director's reputation for good. Crew members finally snap out of their shock and rush in to grab both men before the situation turns even more violent. Someone starts shouting about how the director has botched every single project he has touched in recent years. Kim Gong-ya screams back that the director is stuck in the past and is still forcing the wrong actors into major roles. They are both losing their minds and yelling at the top of their lungs while being held back by the staff. He demands to know who this Lee Tae-jae guy is and how much money the director took to push him for the role. He fires back by asking why they won't even give his own pick a fair chance to prove themselves. Our protagonist takes a moment to breathe and calm down while the chaos continues to swirl all around him. He is physically exhausted, but his mind is still sharp, and he is waiting for the perfect opening to end this. The director sneers and accuses him of having a secret relationship with the actor he is trying to get into the show. He asks if our hero is just scared that the new kid will eventually overshadow the star actor. Our protagonist remains silent for a second as he lets the accusation hang in the air while he makes a final decision. You can practically see the gears turning behind his eyes as he prepares to make a massive gamble. A creepy smirk spreads across his face as he tells the director to go ahead and do whatever he wants. He has a secret plan, and he is confident enough to put his entire future on the line right now. He lets out a roar of defiance and promises to expose the fact that the director's judgment has gone completely rotten in front of everyone. He is making a scene that no one on this set will ever forget today. They settle on a final wager where the loser of this bet has to leave the entire industry forever after this show is finished. It is the ultimate gamble for both men, and neither of them looks like they are going to back down. The sun begins to set over the city as the day of filming comes to an end with this massive cliffhanger. The stakes have never been higher, and the battle for the soul of the production has finally begun in earnest. The quiet hallway of an apartment complex sets a somber mood for what is about to happen next in this story. Everything seems completely normal on the surface, despite the chaos that occurred earlier during the day. Our boy starts his morning by grabbing his messy hair and trying to wake himself up for the long day ahead of him. He needs to clear his head after everything that happened during the intense production meeting yesterday. He stares at his own reflection in the bathroom mirror for a moment while wondering if he is actually ready for the drama. He knows that his entire career is now riding on the success of this one insane bet. He finishes getting ready and looks at the mundane items in his bathroom as a way to ground himself before the storm. The silence of his apartment is a sharp contrast to the shouting match he just endured. He finally switches off the light and heads out the door to face the challenges of the day head-on. No turning back now, and he is ready to see this gamble through to the very end. He stares intensely at the script for Gray City as he prepares to make a choice that could change the trajectory of his entire career today. The production director argues that private auditions were necessary to find a truly exceptional actor who can handle intense ad-libbing on the set without any issues. He reached down and grabbed his black bag with a sense of purpose because he knew exactly what he needed to do next. Tucked inside a simple brown paper bag was a massive stack of 10,001 bills that smelled like pure corruption and secrets. Walking out of the door and into the bright light, he moved forward with his backpack secured tightly for the long journey ahead. His sneaker hit the pavement with a sharp sound as he officially stepped into the chaotic world outside his quiet apartment walls today. Gong-ya quickly boards the bus to start his commute across the city, while carrying a heavy bag full of secrets that he needs to deliver as soon as possible. He continues his journey on foot through the busy neighborhood as he mentally prepares himself for the shady meeting that is about to take place very soon. Spotting a white car approaching, he raised his hand to hail a taxi because he needed to get to his destination much faster. The taxi driver looks back with a look of pure suspicion and asks if his passenger actually has enough cash to pay for such a long trip today. The driver pulls away from the curb and asks for the destination, while keeping a close eye on the young man sitting in his back seat via the mirror. Gong-ya tells the man he is headed to Kangek's land, while the driver privately wonders if he should just kick the kid out of the car right now. A colleague tells the stubborn writer to just drop the matter entirely instead of fighting against the decisions already being made behind the scenes by the higher-ups. The director tries to compromise by suggesting they give the candidate a single audition slot rather than casting him immediately without any formal testing or review process. The writer stares down at the pages of his work with a troubled expression as he recalls the harsh words of his colleagues from the earlier production meeting. He narrowed his eyes and thought to himself that as long as the ratings were good, nothing else really mattered in this business. The meeting took place at a traditional building that looked way too fancy for whatever shady business was about to go down today. A man was already waiting inside with a script in his hand and a bottle of sake sitting on the table before them. The title page of the script clearly listed Gray City as being directed by Jai Cheol-jun and written by the man Kwak In-ho. The director praised the writing and asked if writer Kwak In-ho had finally found his creative groove again after all this time away. Writer Kwak In-ho sits across from the producer with a bead of sweat rolling down his face as he feels the immense weight of the situation unfolding before him. The man across the table continued with the flattery, saying that the work was more than he could have ever expected from anyone. The writer lowers his head politely, while trying to remain humble in the face of such overwhelming praise from the powerful man sitting across from him at the table. Then came the moment we all expected, as the director slid that same brown paper bag of cash across the low wooden table quietly. The writer looks at the bag of cash and questions why the producer didn't just use the bank account number he provided during their last interaction for the payment. The director gave him a slimy smile and said it was just a small amount for transportation to cover his long travel costs today. There was a sharp and calculating look in his eyes that told us this was about way more than just simple gas money. The producer dismisses the importance of the money and tells the writer not to make a big deal out of such a small and insignificant gesture between colleagues. He made it very clear that he expected the upcoming auditions to remain completely private and away from any prying eyes or cameras. Then they finally got to the point and discussed bringing in a guy named Kim Hwan for the OD back role specifically. The producer stares back with a confident expression because he knows they are finally on the same page regarding the future of the show and its controversial casting. Gong-ya dives headfirst into a world of high-stakes gambling where every card dealt represents a desperate soul. The tension at the table is high as players bet everything they have on a single hand. The roulette wheel spins rapidly while everyone holds their breath in anticipation. Luck is the only thing that matters in a place like this where fortunes change instantly. Slot machines are ringing and flashing in the background as people chase the big jackpot. Everyone here is desperately trying to win back what they have already lost today. The casino floor is filled with broken dreams and people who have hit rock bottom. You can see the despair on their faces as they realize the house always wins. This poor guy in the hood is completely devastated by his recent losses. He is staring into space, while the cold reality of his situation starts to sink in deeply. Our boy Kim Gong-ya walks into the room and takes a look around. He realizes this place is way more chaotic and depressing than he originally thought it would be. The atmosphere is thick with desperation, as people gamble away their very last cents. Gong-ya observes the madness while he tries to keep his own head on straight today. A staff member opens the door to announce that the auditions are finally starting in 15 minutes, so everyone needs to get ready to enter. Back in the production office, the writer is looking extremely focused and tense. He is staring at some scripts while he prepares for the upcoming auditions very carefully. The producer is sitting right across from him with a very serious expression. They are both waiting for the next candidate to show them something truly special and unique. The writer offers the other guy a chance to back out of their bet. He thinks the stakes might be getting a little too high for comfort right now. The writer stares down at the scripts and feels a sense of dread because the producer is refusing to back down from their risky wager. The producer ignores the warning and keeps a straight face, while the writer tells him that he is going to deeply regret this decision later. Jae Chul-jun feels incredibly confident because he believes that the producer will never be able to find a talented actor that can outshine his rookie star. Kim Gong-ya walks into the audition room looking like the physical embodiment of a complete failure and immediately tells the judges that he is ready to start right now. Our boy activates his special skill called emotion copy. He perfectly mimics the insane and desperate expression of the broken gambler from the casino. This is some truly haunting acting. The entire room seems to warp as his performance takes over their reality. You can almost see the ghosts of the casino and the crushing weight of their collective despair. Dark energy starts swirling around him as his intensity reaches a fever pitch. The pressure in the room is rising to an insane level that no one expected today. A massive explosion of raw emotion breaks loose as he pours his soul into the role. He is absolutely crushing this audition and leaving the staff completely speechless with his talent. The manager is currently on a call with his office and confirms that he understands the instructions for the high-profile audition they are heading to. Kim Hwan sits arrogantly in the back of the car, while the manager discusses the plan to focus heavily on improvising during the acting test. The manager reminds him that the producer told him to practice very hard. He wants to make sure Hwan is fully prepared to dominate the competition at the audition. Hwan just scoffs and asks if that conversation was not already over long ago. He seems way too overconfident for someone who is about to face such a big test. The driver tries to keep his eyes on the road, while the conversation in the back seat starts to get a little bit more intense than he expected. Hwan looks out the window with a confident smirk, while his manager tells him to just go in and show off his usual genius skills to the judges. A sharp and calculating look in his eye behind those sunglasses. He is clearly thinking about how he is going to handle the character of O.D. back. He wonders what he should even do since the character is so different. His usual image is nothing like the role he is trying to get for this project. The manager's assistant tries to compliment Hwan by saying he is a perfect match for the role, but the arrogant rookie just claims she is hurting his feelings. She laughs it off at first, thinking he is just playing around with her. But Hwan is not actually joking, and the mood in the car turns sour fast. He leans in closer and tells her that his feelings are actually hurt. The atmosphere becomes incredibly awkward as he starts to act like a total narcissist towards her. He asks if she thinks riding with a celebrity makes her special. Hwan tells her that wearing cheap clothes doesn't mean she is even close to being on his level. The manager snaps and tells him to watch his mouth. Hwan just keeps going and says some people care more about selfies than fixing their own miserable and pathetic lives. He grabs her head and says it is pathetic that a celebrity is the protagonist of her life instead of herself. This guy is a total narcissist and a monster. She is left shaking and completely stunned by his cruel words. She cannot believe that someone she worked with could say something so horrible and degrading to her. The manager is absolutely fuming, but he has to keep his eyes on the road. He yells at the brat to shut up before things get even worse today. Hwan just smiles to himself like he actually enjoyed causing all that pain. He is a piece of work who loves to look down on everyone around him. The poor woman is on the verge of tears as she looks away. The weight of his insults is really starting to sink in and crush her spirit. The manager is gripping the steering wheel so tight that his knuckles are turning white. He is clearly trying his best not to pull over and lose his temper. Hwan casually mentions that he just wanted to try playing a psycho like this. He claims he was just practicing his acting even if it was not the role. He asks if they knew he did not actually mean any of it. But the look on his face says he is just messing with their heads even more. The scene shifts back to the audition hall where the energy is high. Everyone is waiting to see who will step up and claim the lead role today. The hallway is packed with hopeful actors who are all clutching their scripts tight. They are all hoping and praying that today is finally going to be their day. He grips his script tightly while trying to steady his breathing, because he knows this is his last chance at stardom. He narrows his gaze with an intense focus that suggests he is about to make a move that surprises everyone in the room. He declares with a booming voice that the loser of this project will be forced to retire from the acting world forever. He looks down and admits that while his pride got him into this mess, the role should ultimately go to the most talented actor. The senior actor observes Lee Tae-gyo with a serious and curious gaze, wondering if the young man can truly handle the immense pressure of this role. Lee Tae-gyo narrows his eyes and enters a state of deep focus as he begins to mentally transform into the character of O.D. back. One of the rookies arrives at the venue and is completely blown away by the massive scale of the production he is auditioning for. The famous genius rookie Kim Hwan makes a flashy appearance and introduces himself with an incredibly confident and cheerful attitude. The other actors in the hallway can't help but feel a sudden wave of anxiety as the competition starts to feel much more real. Hwan stands there with a smug grin while he waits for his turn. He is acting like he already owns the place and the role is his. He recognizes Kim Hwan from a popular web drama and immediately understands why everyone in the industry is calling this kid a genius. The seasoned professionals watch the younger generation and realize that most people lose their passion and inner light as they get older. Gongya lets out a low and creepy chuckle that quickly escalates into a full-blown manic laugh that echoes through the room. Director Kwak In-ho watches with a cold and unimpressed gaze as he waits for a candidate who can actually bring some real depth to his project. The writer asks the director about the identity of the next actor, as they look for a very specific type of dark energy for the lead role. Kwak In-ho looks at the candidate and wonders if this bastard actually has what it takes to survive the intensity of the scene he has planned. The director tells his team that the previous actor failed simply because he lacked the stamina and drive to maintain his focus during the long wait. Kwak In-ho advises the writer to keep his conscience in check and focus on the quality of the performance rather than being distracted by pointless ad-libs. The writer looks completely drained and begs for a break after sitting through an endless cycle of mediocre and soulless performances all day long. The team finally decides to move forward with the audition for the role of the gambler and calls out number 85 to step up next. The judges are immediately struck by the candidate's intense presence, finding themselves unable to look away as he takes center stage. The director reminds the candidate that he is just one of many people auditioning and needs to deliver a perfect performance to stand out from the crowd. Candidate number 2, Young In Jae, steps onto the stage and tries to dominate the room with a loud and aggressive vocal performance for the judges. Despite the actor's intensity, the judges remain entirely unimpressed as they wait for someone who can actually handle the emotional depth of the noir role. The writer stares at the director and realizes that he has clearly spent a lot of time preparing a secret weapon for this particular audition today. Kwak In-ho is accused of personally coaching the actor to ensure he possesses the exact gritty vibe and presence required for the dark project. He explains that the true driving force of acting is emotion and the ability to breathe life into a completely fictional and unique individual. Acting is the profound realization of a specific person who is experiencing a specific and powerful emotion in a high-stakes and desperate situation. A true master of the craft must be able to express raw and unfiltered feelings that make the audience forget they are watching a simple performance. Every single action taken by the actor needs to feel like a natural and necessary response to the intense world the character lives in daily. The ultimate goal of a world-class performance is the creation of an entirely new human being who exists independently of the person on the stage. Simply pretending to be a character is a hollow shell that many actors use to hide the fact that they lack the real skill to be genuine. The writer tells the candidate to begin as soon as he receives the signal and warns him to be prepared for some unexpected ad-libs during the scene. The actor lets out a guttural and desperate roar in an attempt to show the judges the immense internal struggle of his character's broken life. The tension in the room hits a breaking point as the transition begins, and everyone feels the narrative start to take a sudden and dark turn. The polite young man they were just speaking to completely vanishes and is replaced by a man with a much more dangerous and frightening aura. Suddenly, the entire atmosphere of the audition room shifts, and the writer finds himself being overwhelmed by the imaginary stench of booze and cheap cigarettes. Standing before the judges is no longer a hopeful young actor, but a piece of human trash who looks like he has spent his life in the gutter. The judges are sent into a state of total panic and disbelief as they witness a transformation that feels far too real to be simple acting. Gong Ya suddenly drops his nice guy act and barks out a terrifying order for the judge to put his pen down immediately with raw malice. The judge is frozen in shock as the polite candidate's aura shifts instantly into something predatory and deeply unsettling. With a sudden and violent motion, Gong Ya slams his hand onto the table, making the judges jump as he exerts total control over the room. The actor lunges across the desk and seizes the judge by the throat, his voice dropping into a dangerous snarl as he demands his money back. A wave of panic sweeps through the audition room as the staff members shout for the actor to stop, fearing that the situation has turned real. Amidst the screaming and confusion, Kwak In-ho remains perfectly composed, his cold eyes fixed on the masterpiece of acting unfolding before him. After trying to process what he is seeing, the writer realizes that this performance goes way beyond any realistic portrayal he has ever seen before. The writer is completely stunned as the dark presence of the character continues to fill the room and dominate every single one of his senses. He turns to director Kwak and asks where on earth he managed to find a man who can manifest such a broken and twisted soul so easily. Just a few minutes ago, the young man was apologizing for being late and smiling politely at the people who are now absolutely terrified of him. The transformation is so absolute that the judges find themselves staring into the eyes of a cold-blooded gambler with absolutely nothing left to lose in life. The writer is gripped by a sense of dread, realizing that the performance is so deep that the boy's original personality has been completely obliterated. Gong Ya's dark, empty eyes stare back with a terrifying intensity, marking the end of an audition that none of the judges will ever be able to forget. The panel of judges continues their long day of auditions by rejecting yet another hopeful actor who simply fails to capture the intensity they need for the role. A new applicant enters the room and immediately catches everyone off guard by brandishing a hammer and putting on an incredibly visceral performance that feels dangerously real. The casting staff remains completely unimpressed with the talent pool they have seen so far, and they continue to hand out rejections to every person who walks through the door. One of the frustrated actors struggles to maintain his composure and lets out a pained groan when he realizes his performance is falling flat in front of the director. Director Kwak In-ho is clearly getting tired of the mediocre acting he has witnessed all day, and he makes no effort to hide his absolute disgust with the current candidate. Everyone in the entertainment industry knows that Kwak In-ho is currently working on his most ambitious project, yet which is a gritty noir film called Gray City. The director explains that while most people associate the noir genre with extreme violence and vulgar language, he is looking for something much deeper than just blood and gore. Kwak In-ho has a very specific vision for his film, and he firmly believes that the true core of a successful noir story is not found in the action scenes. To the director, the absolute most important element of any noir story is the raw and unfiltered desire that drives a character to their ultimate breaking point. He believes that everything else on screen should only exist to highlight the emotional journey and the intense feelings of the actors during their most desperate moments. The writer and the director begin to have a heated argument about the casting process and the various sacrifices they have both made to bring this project to life. The writer admits that he knows the industry can be incredibly cruel to those who fail to succeed, and he doesn't care if others view him as a washed-up failure. Kwak is determined to prove his worth once more, and promises to show everyone that he still has the talent and the vision to create something truly spectacular. An assistant informs the team that they have finally finished seeing the last candidate, who was auditioning for the specific supporting role of Kim Min. The judges are surprised by how quickly the time has passed as they prepare to move on to the next set of auditions for the role of O.D.Back. When the name of the next character is called out, the writer suddenly realizes that something significant is about to happen during this specific part of the audition. Jae Cheol-jun is absolutely losing his mind because he is convinced the director brought an actual professional gambler onto the set just to cause some chaos during the audition. The sheer intensity of the performance makes it clear to everyone that they aren't just watching a simple actor, but someone who can truly breathe life into a terrifying character. The character's dark presence begins to manifest as a terrifying aura that makes the air in the room feel heavy and suffocating for everyone watching. The line between fiction and reality is completely vanishing, as he embodies a man who has clearly spent too much time in the darkest corners of society. The performance continues with a new character, a man with an eye patch who enters the scene and offers a cryptic piece of advice to the protagonist. His eyes are filled with the hollow desperation of someone who has lost his soul to the game, and his voice is haunted by years of bad decisions. The protagonist maintains his dark persona, leaning into the role as he asks his next chilling question about high-stakes gambling. He delivers the line coin toss with such ominous weight that it feels like the beginning of an inescapable fate for everyone involved. As the tension reaches a breaking point, our boy prepares to deliver the final killing blow to the sanity of everyone in the audition room. A close-up of his bloodshot eye emphasizes the raw intensity and hidden madness of the character he is currently embodying. Cheol-jun remains completely paralyzed, unable to look away from the monster he feels is standing right in front of him. The heavy silence is finally broken by a judge who asks if that's the end of the scene, clearly still processing the energy of the room. Cheol-jun remains paralyzed because he feels like he is staring into the eyes of a real monster who was dragged straight out of a shady casino. He can't shake the feeling that this man is a total psycho who probably smells like cheap liquor, and the despair of 1,000 lost bets. Cheol-jun clears his throat as he tries to regain his professional composure after being so visibly shaken by the audition. The actor immediately snaps out of character, bowing politely and acknowledging that his performance might have been a bit too intense. Looking humble and out of breath, The actor asks the judges if he could possibly try the scene one more time. Suddenly, Gong Ya clears his throat, and the dark, heavy atmosphere he created just evaporates into thin air. It is like he flipped a switch and returned to being a normal and polite young man. As the performance ends, the actor feels a physical toll from the energy he channeled, while the judges remain internally shaken. The judges express their astonishment at the sudden personality shift, noting how different he looks now that he's stopped acting. Recognizing that everyone is still a bit rattled, one of the judges suggests taking a short break to let the atmosphere recover. Cheol-jun makes his way to the restroom, desperate for some distance from the overwhelming talent that just shattered his expectations. He splashes cold water on his face and stares at his reflection, desperately trying to come up with a plan to handle this new variable. In his mind, he can only see the character created during the audition, the image of a real gambler haunting his every thought. After processing the performance, Cheol-jun reaches a final conclusion, his eyes hardening with a new and dangerous realization. He keeps thinking back to that phrase, a real gambler, and how perfectly our boy embodied every dark aspect of that lifestyle. It is haunting him, and he knows he can't just ignore what happened. His eyes are wide with a mix of fear and realization as he tries to process the level of skill involved. He has worked with many actors, but this guy is on a completely different level of immersion. The perfection of the transformation weighs heavily on the director, making it impossible for him to simply dismiss what happened in that room. Staring at himself in the mirror, he admits that what he saw transcended simple acting. It was a total and rare transformation. He can't get over how perfect that performance was, and the fact that it came from a total nobody makes it harder. It wasn't just good acting because it was something much more profound and dangerous. Just as he thinks he is alone, Cheol-jun is cornered in the restroom by a man who seems to have been waiting for the right moment to talk. The man in the suit calmly finishes drying his hands, his imposing presence signaling that he has a very specific message for the director. The chief drops a bombshell, making it clear that for the sake of the CEO, their preferred candidate, Kim H-wan, must get the part. Placing a hand on Cheol-jun's shoulder, the chief reminds him of his current precarious situation and warns him to ensure the idol wins. Cheol-jun attempts to push back, arguing that a standard idol performance won't be enough to compete with the raw intensity they just saw. The chief dismisses the concern, asserting that once the technical coordination of filming begins, the idol's professional reflexes will give him the edge. A spark of inspiration hits Cheol-jun as he focuses on the word reflexes, seeing a potential way to sabotage the lead candidate. A manic look fills his eyes as he realizes he has found a way for Kim H-wan to beat the superior actor by using the tricks of the industry. He enthusiastically proposes an ad-lib battle, knowing that the idol's quick wits and screen experience will give him an overwhelming advantage. The meeting ends with a chilling sense of confidence as the chief tells Cheol-jun he looks much better now that they have a plan in place. Gong Ya takes a confident step forward as he prepares to show everyone that he is the only one who truly understands the character. As the two rivals cross paths in the hallway, the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife, but Gong Ya doesn't even flinch. Kim H-wan can't help but feel a sense of unease as he watches his competitor walk by with such overwhelming confidence and poise. The idol actor narrows his eyes while trying to figure out how a nobody could possibly possess such a terrifying and magnetic presence. Our hero begins to lose himself in the role of Lee Tae-jae as the boundaries between his own reality and the character start to blur. You can tell he is still deeply connected to the role of Lee Tae-jae even while he is just waiting around. He is not just here to act because he wants to dominate the entire production. In the background of his mind, he is picturing the grimy environment of a gambler's hideout filled with ashtrays. He is building the world of the story from the inside out with every single breath. A blonde woman in his mental scene laughs about how they finally hit a solid winning streak. She is part of the toxic cycle that keeps people trapped in these illegal gambling dens for years. The eye patch guy is there too while smirking through a cloud of smoke as he watches the victims fall for his tricks. This bastard is the architect of so much misery, and our boy is channeling it. A massive scarred man stands over the table while explaining that this is the most popular game in every casino worldwide. He is the muscle, and the intimidation factor that keeps the gamblers in line. They are all sitting on the floor in the middle of a strategy meeting, but there is no honor among thieves. Everyone is just looking for a way to screw over the person sitting next to them. The big guy turns to Gong Ya and calls him a handsome one while telling him to sit down and join them. He says he is sure our boy has his own shady reasons for being there. The massive, scarred man stops the meeting because he finds it strange that a newcomer would be wearing such a happy expression in a place like this. Gong Ya simply turns back and asks if he truly looks that way, while a chilling smile begins to form on his face. The intensity of the scene finally causes an overwhelming surge of adrenaline to race through his body, as he fully embraces the madness of the gambler. The blonde woman mentions that one of the women who was here never came back after 4 days in the casino. It is a grim reminder of the high price people pay for the excitement. Eye Patch Guy mentions that she is bedridden because she lost too much blood, but she was still happy to keep playing. These people are monsters who feed on the suffering and desperation of every victim. Gong Ya realizes that as Li Ti Jiao, he knew exactly what that meant and what kind of danger he was in. He was walking straight into the lion's den, but he was too far gone. A sign on the wall promises that confidentiality is guaranteed for anyone willing to bet 100 million won or more. It is a lure for the wealthy and the desperate alike in this hell. Kim Gong Ya stands there in a complete daze after pouring every ounce of his raw emotion into that last performance. He looks absolutely spent as he slowly tries to snap out of the dark and intense headspace he just occupied for the camera. The production staff brings out several colorful sweet shakes to help the poor guy recover his strength during the judging process. He has pushed his body to the absolute limit and needs a serious sugar rush to stay conscious for the next round. Our boy takes a long sip of the frozen treat and admits the cold sweetness actually tastes better than the most expensive Korean ribs. He sits there quietly in his sharp red suit, while the sugar starts to clear the heavy fog from his brain. The producer flashes a wide grin and tells him he can eat whatever he wants for the next hour on the company credit card. It turns out the production staff might actually be decent people, despite how much they have been working him today. As the exhaustion begins to fade, he starts questioning the strange and unsettling sensation he felt during the middle of the shoot. Something about that specific moment felt dangerously real, and it is starting to bother him as his mind cools down. He remembers a sudden wave of dizziness hitting him so hard that he could no longer stay in the character's headspace. This is a massive problem for a method actor, and he needs to figure out exactly what broke his concentration so violently. In his mind, he sees himself during the performance grabbing his scene partner by the collar and screaming like a total maniac. He knew in that moment he had to go far beyond the written script if he ever wanted to be truly great. The production crew was left absolutely speechless because his intensity was on a level they had never seen before in an audition. They knew right then, and there they were looking at a genuine gem of an actor who could change everything. To the experts watching the monitor, a regular opponent who just follows the lines is nothing more than common coal compared to what he did. They want an actor who can bring a fire to the screen without being told how to do it. The staff realizes that our boy has a rare darkness within him that makes every single one of his performances feel dangerously real. It is the kind of raw and unpredictable energy that you simply cannot teach in any acting school in the world. The director is convinced that Gong Ya himself is a shining diamond who possesses the kind of sharp edge most professionals only dream of having. He is the type of actor who doesn't just play a role because he becomes the character entirely. The cameramen and assistants are stunned by his work because they have never seen a newcomer dominate a set with such effortless power. They realize they are witnessing the birth of a superstar who is about to shatter every industry standard. Our boy was absolutely relentless during the audition and choked the life out of his scene partner just to get a realistic reaction. He was teaching the other guy that in this business you have to be ready to break or be broken. The metaphor is clear as the coal crumbles under the pressure of a diamond that is designed to do the breaking. He is the kind of performer who will destroy everything around him just to create something beautiful for the audience. Back in reality, Gong Ya is still wondering if he has been overdoing it lately because of his sheer exhaustion. He has been pushing his body and mind way past their natural limits for far too long. Gong Ya looks at the mountain of empty cups on the table and realizes he has already crushed a ton of sweets just to keep himself moving today. He knows that staying in that dark and twisted headspace for too long is very risky business for his health. Just as he is trying to catch his breath, his phone starts buzzing on the table with an urgent incoming call from the production office. Someone is definitely not done with him for the day, and he has a very bad feeling about what comes next. It turns out Writer Quack is calling him personally, and Gong Ya picks up immediately to see what the big emergency is all about. He tries to sound professional despite the internal fatigue that is still pulling at his muscles and mind. The news he receives is completely unexpected, and he can only respond with a confused expression as he tries to process the information. He cannot believe the production team is suggesting a high-stakes final test right after he finished his shoot. On the other side of the studio, a mysterious rival wearing shades and a hoodie looks incredibly smug while listening to the same news. This guy clearly thinks he has the lead role in the bag already and looks down on everyone else in the room. The assistant director explains that it was very hard to say whose acting was better because both finalists performed at a world-class level. They have decided to bring them both together for a final showdown to see who has the most endurance. Apparently, the audition for the role of O.D.Back has come down to a total stalemate between two talented actors. The writer explains that they have invited them both for a final showdown to see who can claim the role. It is a high-stakes improv battle that will prove once and for all who has the guts to lead. The production team announces that the final test will require both men to perform an entirely improvised scene together without any preparation time. They want to see how their characters would wrestle money away from each other in a real conflict. The staff bows politely to the actors as they prepare the room for the most intense confrontation of the entire audition process. They are eager to see if the chemistry between these two rivals is as explosive as they hope it will be on screen. The mystery rival smiles and points his finger at Gong Ya as if he has already secured the lead role for himself before the test even begins. He claims he has always wanted to try something like this with another actor who is supposed to be on his level. The director watches the two rivals with a focused expression because he knows that getting things to this point was a huge gamble for the production. He is looking for a specific type of spark that can only be found during an unplanned confrontation. The narrative voice explains that Kim H-wan is known for having a very clean and textbook acting style with no wasted motion. His resume and clips are flawless, showing a man who has mastered the technical side of the craft. He is the kind of professional that directors love because he always delivers exactly what is expected. But compared to the raw power Gong Ya showed earlier, the staff is worried Kim H-wan might not win this. They decide to set specific conditions that might favor the experienced pro over our boy's raw talent. The director pauses mid-sentence, his mind already spinning with the implications of what he is about to announce to the two rivals. He determines that the only way to ensure the best result is to create a scenario that highlights the difference in their professional experience. The producer tells them they are ready to begin the showdown right now without any prep time at all. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with a knife as everyone watches closely. They face off in the middle of the room, two completely different types of actors about to clash. The goal is to see who can take control of the scene first and keep the power balance. The director steps forward and lays down the law, announcing that they only have a strict 3 minutes to finish the scene. Both Gong Ya and his rival prepare themselves for the final showdown, knowing that every second counts if they want to impress the staff. Kim H-wan's gaze is sharp and analytical as he prepares for the improvised battle, refusing to let his guard down for even a second. Kim H-wan thinks to himself that he does not mind a little competition, but he is still incredibly skeptical of this newcomer. He keeps wondering if Gong Ya was actually as good as everyone says, or if it was just hype. He is determined to expose our boy as a fraud during this ad-lib session. The veteran actor continues to question the newcomer's reputation, wondering if the hype surrounding Gong Ya's audition was actually justified. The director clarifies the details of the final test, mentioning that the arrangement for this special showdown has already been finalized. The production staff apologizes for the sudden change in the schedule and asks both men to bear with them for this final round of testing. They are desperate to see which one of these actors truly has what it takes to carry the entire show. But even as he says that, he cannot help but ask one more question about Gong Ja's acting style. He wants to know exactly what kind of opponent he is going up against in this final test. He throws a final cold and calculating look over his shoulder to let his opponent know that the real battle is just beginning. He is already looking for a weakness to exploit before the 3-minute timer even starts counting down. The producer watches the audition with a tense expression, clearly caught off guard by the heavy presence of the actors performing in front of him. Our main character walks toward the stage with a mysterious aura that makes everyone wonder what kind of performance he is about to deliver to the judges. The arrogant actor looks down on his competitors with pure disdain, because he believes they are far beneath his level of professional expertise. A sharp, calculating gaze reveals that he is analyzing every single detail of the competition to ensure he stays on top and crushes everyone else. He dismisses his opponent as a total amateur and believes the boy is just a lucky extra who spent his time gambling instead of actually practicing his craft. He looks at Gong Ya and internally dismisses him as a mere extra who got lucky once during an audition. He is about to crush our boy's spirit in front of the entire production crew here. Kim H-wan truly believes that acting is all about raw talent and having the guts to make bold choices on the fly during a high-stakes performance. In his mind, he is a rare gem that has not been polished yet, waiting for the right moment to outshine every other actor in the industry. He compares himself to the other extras in the room and concludes that they are not even in the same league as a star like him. He leans in and makes it clear that he refuses to be grouped together with the regular extras who are just standing around like background props. Without warning, he snaps and delivers a violent blow that sends a shockwave through the entire audition room, turning the scene into a real-life assault. He reaches out and grabs Gong Ya by the throat, pinning him back with enough force to make everyone's heart stop in pure terror. He lets out a terrifying scream right into the boy's face, trying to break his spirit and force him into a submissive role during the audition. The other actors watching from the side are frozen in fear as they witness the sudden escalation of violence that goes way beyond the original script. One of the onlookers stands there with his mouth wide open, unable to process the insane level of intensity and physical aggression he is witnessing. The PD is left completely speechless as the intensity of the acting reaches a point he never expected, watching with cold sweat as he witnesses a true monster in action. Even with a hand around his throat, the boy maintains his composure and politely addresses his senior colleague while showing a chilling lack of fear. Kim H-wan claims that a top-tier actor is someone who can shape the flow of the entire work, but he is starting to feel like he is the one being manipulated. Kim H-wan starts to realize that he might have messed with the wrong person in this studio today. The person he is holding is not an extra, but a terrifying force of nature in disguise. Gong Ja's energy turns a simple story into something truly gripping and terrifying for everyone standing in the studio, proving that he is a force that directly shapes the narrative.